Stay tuned and let's check out this NECA Terminator 2 Judgment Day 2-pack with Sarah and John Connor. How and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. Today we are taking a look at the NECA Terminator 2 Judgment Day 2-pack with Sarah and John Connor. Now, I've said this many times before, I am a nostalgia junkie and I was born in the late 80s, which means I grew up on all of these classic 90s movies, and Terminator 2 Judgment Day still remains to be one of my favourite films, full stop. And recently I picked up the Terminator T800 figure and really liked that, so I thought I had to pick up two more iconic characters from this Terminator franchise, which is of course Sarah and John Connor. Now, the packaging for this is really nice. It looks like a poster from the 90s, and it even says the battle for tomorrow has begun. So yes, this is really nice. You open it up on this Velcro tab and it reveals both Sarah and John Connor inside. Now, Sarah has been released single packs before, but the only previous way to get John was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, and he came with his motorcycle. So this is essentially a new way to get both figures and John at retail, but without his bike. But he still has some other cool accessories, which we'll get into as we open these up. On this side, we just get a promo image of Sarah and John. On the side, the standard packaging that we've been getting for all of the Terminator 2 figures. On the back, some more promo images. A little write-up that says 3 billion human lives ended on August 29th, 1997. The few who survived the nuclear fire of Judgment Day only lived to face a new nightmare, the war against the machines. And it says a little bit more as well, but if you haven't seen Terminator by now, honestly, go and watch Terminator 1 and 2, treat yourself. You don't necessarily need to see the rest. The magic was in those original two, so I had to pick up these for the shelf. So without further ado, let's get them open. Here we have Sarah and John out of the box now with all of their accessories on the table, and they do come with some interesting Easter eggs from the film, and we'll mention them as we go through. But just the first impressions on the figures, they both look nice. They're NECA, so you know articulation isn't going to be super amazing, but it's all about sculpt and detail, and I really like the look of them. As I said, when I have a character on my shelf, it's all about having that representation, my mind's eye version of that character, and once these are standing next to Terminator on the shelf, it's going to be undeniably, it is Terminator 2 Judgment Day setup. So I'm happy about that, and plus we have some interchangeable heads, and we can have a closer look at these and pick our favourite. But she also comes with some very nice weapons as well, which I'm sure we can use with many figures in our collection. But yes, first impressions looking good, but let's take a closer look, and let's start off with John. Taking a closer look at John, I reckon he looks really good. So do you reckon it looks like a young Edward Furlong? You let me know in the comments. So obviously this doesn't have digital face printing. It's just old school sculpt and paint. And NECA have some of the best sculptors in the game. So considering that, I reckon the likeness is pretty good in regards to a young Edward Furlong. It looks pretty good, reminds me of John Connor from the film, and that fits its purpose, so no complaints from me. But again, maybe digital face printing tech would have upped the game, but as I said, this is old school NECA at its finest. But yeah, the jacket's a softer plastic, and again, it's got the camo design, and we are limited in regards to articulation. This is probably the biggest down point of these figures, so no double joint, you just get a single joint there on the elbow. So in regards to how we're going to have them posed, we will be limited, and no interchangeable hands as well. So we're stuck with these grippy hands so we can hold his accessories. I assume these were here so we could sit on his bike and hold the handles, but we don't get the bike with this figure. So yeah, again, limited with articulation, and you're only going to have these gripping hands, but I guess we can get him in a decent pose nevertheless. So he's got a black t-shirt on, some jeans, single jointed knees as well. You're only going to get that far back, and no ankle pivot, but there is a slight hinge in there, so you can get some movement, but not great. No ab crunch, but there is a diaphragm cut. Oh no, there is an ab crunch there, you can see it. It's just, I don't want to break it. You know what NECA figures are like sometimes. But as I said, I've not brought this to pose it in any acrobatic stance. I've brought it to be a representation from one of the films I loved. So as long as it looks like John Connor on the shelf, I ain't going to have any complaints. So let's take a look at his accessories while we're here. So firstly, he comes with this bag, which we can just sit over his shoulder. Nice and easy, no problem at all. So you can rest it one shoulder because John's cool like that. Or I'm assuming we could probably sneak in the second arm. So let's try and do that here without breaking the plastics. You do have to be very careful So I'm just working that over, and there you go. So I can have this bag on both shoulders, spin the arm back round, and there we're good to go. So yeah, just be careful doing stuff like that, because as I said, you don't want to rip the plastic or maybe heat it up, maybe you get a bit more give. But now he's got his backpack on, and that sits on there nicely. No problems at all. He also comes with his little hacking device, which we see him use this right at the start of the film, where he uses it at an ATM or a cash point. And this has some cables attached to it. The focus is losing because they're so small. But it is a very nice little Easter egg that they've attached. And again, maybe we can get him to hold it. Obviously, I'm going to have to do some better posing than that. But again, it scales well is my point. The accessory I like the most, however, is the T800 Arm. Well, I think it's the T800 Arm. It's a Terminator arm anyway that they have in the lab from the film. It's what the scientists are using to sort of create new technology and watch. Eventually ends the Judgement Day, of course, but they stop it, or do they? Watch the film and find out. But yeah, this scales really nicely as well. And what I like about this is that this pops off and the arm pops off as well. So you can actually just use this stand for something else in your collection if you wanted to, but obviously it's purposely built for this arm, so that is how I'm going to be using mine. But yeah, that is a very nice arm anyway. Decent paint in there, decent sculpt, very nice. So maybe I'll have my John on the shelf holding this. So yeah, John's not bad overall. He looks great, just if you're just going to have him posed on the shelf, nice and simple. But don't expect to be getting him any crazy poses, as the design and the articulation won't let you. But as I said, it fits its purpose for me. Moving on to Sarah, she looks pretty good. So the figure is an old mold. So I know straight away the articulation is not going to be amazing, but the shoulders will go up. There is a single jointed elbow, which is disappointing when characters have guns to hold, but I'm sure we can make something work. Single on the leg, so that's as far back as we're going to get it, which isn't great. And then there's some sort of movement. There seems to be an ankle pivot in the shoe, and there is decent on the waist. Head as well should be decent, but the ponytail gets in the way. So again, we're going to be limited to articulation, but again, that's not the reason we've brought these figures. We've brought them as representations of these particular characters. And does it look like Sarah Connor? That is the main question. So you tell me. So let's zoom in and have a look. So this is the first head sculpt. We do get 3, so you do have options in regards to how you want to display. And I don't think that one's too bad at all. Does it look like a young Linda Hamilton? You let me know. So her quiff does sort of, her bangs, if you will, do go over the face and cover the eyes a little bit. But there is a decent sculpt there and decent paint. As again, there's no digital face printing or anything like that. It's old school sculpt and paint. So if you can get a likeness of an actor with that, then bravo. So there's the first one. There is the second one. And I think that is the same face, just with different hair underneath. I reckon it is the same head, but just different hair. So this is a sort of dishevelled look when she was at the asylum, but the hair just seems too big. Like, it sits too high on the head. Her forehead looks massive. Her neck looks long because I can't get the head to fit on their body, the body properly. So yeah, this isn't a great head sculpt. Like, the likeness is okay, but that hair is just like a giant mop on top of her head. She looks like some crazy late 70s rocker. Yeah, not the best of looks. Now, this is probably the most accurate head in regards to the outfit she is wearing. Do you know, this is when she's all geared up, ready to take on the Terminator. But yeah, the likeness, again, it's the same head as the previous 2, but again, with glasses and a hat this time. So I think it's the same head sculpt as that, but with glasses and a hat added on top. So we don't get no smiley Sarah, but she isn't exactly smiley in the film. This is her more serious, she's ready for war. And I quite like the look of this one. As I said, it does suit what she's wearing a lot better. So this probably will where I will be ending up displaying. But let's check out some of her weapons, shall we? So firstly, she comes with a knife. Decent enough sculpt, and she does have a little knife sheath there that I can put that in, and that slides in there no problem. So now she can harness her knife, so there's a good start. She also comes with a handgun, just a normal pistol. Again, decent paint, decent sculpt. Will she hold it is the question. So she's got tiny hands, so I'm hoping she grips this tight. So there you go, she will. she will grip it tight as well. And it is a trigger hand, so her hand will sort of fit in the trigger. So that is a nice touch. Again, only single jointed elbows though, unfortunately. So we're only going to be able to get her to hold it like that. You can't get it close to the body or anything, which is a bit unfortunate to pose, as that looks a bit stiff. Do you know, like, I wish double jointed elbows would have been very nice there, because she holds the gun nicely. But yes, so we're going to have difficulty now posing these other guns, because this other one's a shotgun, which is very nice. I like how this comes out there and you have all the ammo, the shotgun shells. So I'm assuming she will hold this again. Let's do that. Yep, she will, but it does seem a little bit too big. And again, trying to get her arm, trying to get her posed up will be awkward. So she will hold it like that. But again, that's not really a natural pose. And look how much gap you've got. So again, no double jointed elbows is really going to make it difficult to look good posed with a weapon, unless you just have her holding it down by the side. I like this gun as well. So this gun, God knows what it is, some sort of a rifle. And this is a little bit of a soft plastic. So maybe we could just hook this over her head and just have it dangling on her back. And then maybe have her holding a handgun. Maybe that's how I will have her displayed. But if I bring this back around, let's see if we can get her to hold it. And all the sculpt work, by the way, on all these guns are very nice, and they're decently painted. I can't knock any of the sculpt work on these figures, or the paint. Like, that is NECA's strength with them both, is the sculpt and paint. Now, you have them posed on the shelf like that, it's Sarah and John Connor from Judgment Day. So I am happy in regards to what I have brought them for. They're going to stand next to Terminator, they're going to look great. But if you've brought them for ACBA or posing up, then you are going to struggle and probably be disappointed. But that is not their purpose. They are figures representing characters from a movie, and for me, they do the job. But yeah, you're not going to have Sarah holding this gun any other way apart from that. She's only got one trigger finger hand. The other hand is like just a resting hand. So no interchangeable hands, as I said. So that's what you've got. So completely up to you, but I might have her in a more neutral stance for the shelf. So this is the comparison I wanted to see the most. It is, of course, Sarah and John next to Terminator himself, the T800, and I think they scale really nicely together. This is what it's all about for me. I brought Sarah and John to stand next to the T800 to represent Terminator 2 on my shelf, and I reckon this is going to do the job. So again, if you're buying these figures for ACBA, for crazy posing, then probably going to be disappointed. That's not their purpose for me. It's all about having that representation from the film. I keep saying it throughout the whole review because I know people are probably disappointed with the articulation, but as I said, the sculpt's there, it looks nice, the likeness of the characters is good as well. Remember, these are reissues of old figures, so they don't have digital face printing or anything like that. It's old sculpt and paint, and it still has decent likeness. So yeah, overall, I'm happy. They are for what I've brought them for. I'm going to find a place on the shelf and they will look really nice. Maybe I will end up getting one of the T1000s to go up against them somewhere in the display. But for now, this trio, very nice. For another NECA comparison, here we have Sarah and John compared to the best turtle. That's right, the best turtle is, of course, Donatello. And lastly, for no reason at all, here we have Sarah and John compared to Marvel Legends Hellfire Goon, aka Hank. So, final thoughts, this is probably how I will end up displaying Sarah and John. This is the best look for Sarah. As I said, that cap and glasses look is the most accurate for the outfit she's wearing with that harness and belt. And overall, both of them are nicely sculpted, nicely painted up, but you're going to struggle getting them in some really nice dynamic poses. In regards to the likeness, I do think the John Connor one is pretty good. So is the Sarah face. I just think the hair sculpts on these are not very good at all. So the hat and the glasses sort of disguise that and make it the most accurate for me. She does come with some nice weapons as well, but she's going to struggle to hold them in a good way. So just have that rifle attached to her back with that harness and she can hold the smaller gun. The shotgun may have to go over to the Terminator maybe. But John can hold up his sort of hacking device very nicely. He can grip it in his hand, no problem at all, even with the card. And he does use it to open up those doors in the lab as well. So that's not a bad shout to have him holding that, just to make it a little bit more interesting on display. I did try and get him to hold the tube with the Terminator hand, but there's no way he can grip it. It will just fall out. So maybe I'll find a different place on the display for this. But yes, these two look good. No complaints from me in regards to, I knew what I was expecting. I knew what I was going to get when I brought them. I knew they weren't the most articulated, but I wanted Sarah and John for the display. So that's what I got. So as always, you let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you a fan of Terminator? Are you a fan of these figures? As I said, they are re-releases previously. Do you have the other releases? Always curious to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. But if you want to support the channel even more, then go and check out the videos tab. Find the playlists. But most importantly, please, 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 hit that subscribe button. Much appreciated. I want to support the channel a little bit more. You can on Patreon. Links in the description below. But until next time, people, my name is Dan W. And I will, of course, see you on the next one.